everyone, it's Charlton. Hugh Freeze, the head coach of Ole Miss, football coach, has resigned. He was, going to be fired if he didn't resign. He was going to be fired for the moral turpitude. They're going to pull a Dean Wormer on him. So he did resign just a few hours ago, and it's all over a call made to an escort service on a university-issued phone. Dude, not a good idea, Maybe use your own cell phone for those escort calls. But it was brought to the university's attention by a former head coach of Ole Miss, a guy by the name of Houston Nutt, who coached for Ole Miss from 2008 to 2011. He claims, and he has a lawsuit against the university because he contends that the former current head coach of Ole Miss, Freeze, and the athletic director, Bajork, had conspired to basically malign him. They have the university has many violations that are being investigated by the NCAA, and that's grown to, I think, 21 violations by this point. But basically, Nutt is contending that these two came up with this idea, like, why don't we just blame it on the old guy, the guy who used to be coach here? But that's hurt Nutt's chances of getting himself another head coaching job at a different college, different university. So he sued them, and he told them he's got this, he's got this embarrassing phone call. He's got a record of it somehow. I don't know if he was there when he placed the call. I don't know how he had this information, but he had it. And he sent an email to the general counsel of the university, Lee Tyner, I think is their name. I don't know if Lee's a guy or a girl, letting him know, listen, I got this. This would be very, very embarrassing for the university if you guys don't start to, start to play ball with regards to my lawsuit and start to help me out and start to cooperate. And they said, well, you know what? We looked into that call and it's nothing. So, go pound sand. But he didn't go pound sand. Houston Nutt contacted USA Today and told him he's got this record of this call, and then they looked into it, and apparently it's just one call to one phone number. It's a number outside of Detroit, and somehow it's linked to an online escort service. It's just I don't know, they're able to track it down, and there's not any other calls in that area code before or after, so it couldn't be a misdialed call. And I think that's what the university initially claimed. That was their first story, and there's no other calls to that area code, ever again. So basically, he's just busted. And that was that. Let me read. I told the story. I'm going to try to read them. I didn't want to just read from the article. Somebody complained, so I can read. But sorry, dude. I'm late. I'm not late. I'm tired. It's late. All right, a 1-minute call made from university-issued phone. Ole Miss head coach Hugh Freeze, who I think is quite of a character, actually, and I think he's a good head coach. I'm not a huge college football fan, but my brothers are. My brothers are just huge sports fans. I mean, everything sports, but college football for sure. So whenever I'm with him, I'll be seeing him actually in a few weeks. But there's no college football right now, even though preseason is going to be starting soon. Not that soon, but that's when I get my catch up on my college football. So, but again, Hugh Freeze, he used the Ole Miss issued phone to call a number associated with a female escort service, which raised potential issue in the back and forth between the university's legal counsel and the attorney for former Rebels head coach Houston Nutt. Resigned Thursday evening, that's tonight, hours after Ole Miss said it would provide a written statement, blah, blah, blah. Athletic director Ross Bajork said in a news conference following the announcement that the resignation did not involve the NCAA allegations but was based on a pattern of inappropriate conduct. Bajork said that the information they had uncovered had been public, the reason for the decision would be clear, acknowledging that if Freeze had not resigned, the school would have exercised the termination clause in the contract for moral turpitude. I'm going to get you for moral turpitude. That's Animal House. That's Dean Wormer. On July 3rd, one day after Nutt filed a federal lawsuit against Ole Miss, alleging that the school violated the terms of its severance agreement, Nutt's attorney, Thomas Mars, sent an email to Lee Tyner, the school's general counsel, referencing a phone call Coach Freeze made that would be highly embarrassing for all you and extremely difficult to explain, Ole Miss. The call, which was made on the evening of January 19th, 2016 to a Detroit 313 area code, lasts just 1 minute, according to emails exchanged between the two parties. But the phone number is associated with several websites advertising a female escort based in Tampa. I'm going to have to look that up. Not for myself. I mean, for this story, dude, relax. USA Today Sports had independently confirmed the phone number has been disconnected. According to Mars, this is the attorney for Houston Nutt, the former coach of Ole Miss, who's suing Ole Miss. The records do not show Freeze immediately redialing a different number or a similar number, nor do other calls to a 313 number appear in the phone records covering the days Mars requested. Responding on July 14th, Tyner rebuffed a suggestion that from Mars that the phone call might be connected to Ole Miss's ongoing NCAA infractions case, saying the school had inquired into the matter and that the call to the Detroit number that lasted 1 minute or less appears to be a misdial. But that turned out to be true, just based on what they just said. So Bajork said when the number, which was not redacted among the calls deemed personal, was brought to his attention, school officials looked closer. All right. So you get the idea. I shouldn't have read that word for word, but I am so tired, and I had to get the story out because it just broke, and it's so good. So Nutt basically said, he's alleging that these guys, Freeze and Bajork, came up with this idea that we'll just blame all the infractions, all the violations that they have with the NCAA with the former coach, and that just seemed like the plausible way to go forward, but obviously that's not too good for Nutt, especially since if he's looking for another job as a head football coach at another college or university. So Nutt alleges in a lawsuit that Ole Miss officials, including Freeze and athletic director Ross Bajork, conspired to smear him late January 2016 by telling several local and national reporters in an off-the-record conversation that most of the violations the NCAA had accused the school of occurred during Nutt's era. It was Nutt, dude. The false narrative taking hold in some media accounts. In reality, 9 of the 13 alleged violations in the first notice of allegations took place under the Freeze regime. And it's actually up to 21, I believe, at this point. The case against Ole Miss brought by the NCAA has expanded to include 21 allegations against the football program, including lack of institutional control and failure to monitor, which could lead to significant penalties targeted at Freeze. Freeze, you're toast. Nutt contends the false narrative has hurt his prospects of landing another football subdivision head coaching job, and that it violated a non-disparagement clause in his termination agreement. Not sure why he was terminated. I tried to look that up, but I didn't find it, and I had to just go with it, baby. These are the two. This is Freeze. This is Nutt. I guess they don't like each other at this point. And here's the Bajork. Here's his, his Twitter page. You know what? I think I covered it all. Get in there, baby. Freeze. I think he's a good coach. I think they maybe both were, But it's just like the shenanigans when things with recruiting and, paying players, that kind of stuff. I have no idea. I'm just saying it's like, these are the things that come up when it comes to college football. And you have these very valuable college athletes that will eventually soon be making millions and millions of dollars. That's usually what's, when it comes to violations against the NCAA, it usually involves something like that. I have no idea about this situation, but that's all for now at the Charlton channel. Please subscribe to my channel and give me a like down below. I'll see you in the next video, baby.